You're known for digging into the data. What are some of the key metrics that you look at?
Average view duration, average view percentage.
Your audience retention rate.
Audience retention, audience retention, audience retention.
Audience retention.
Audience retention.
Audience retention.
Audience retention.
Audience retention.
Expected watch time.
Watch time.
Watch time.
Watch time.
Watch time.
Watch time.
As well as your click-through rate.
Click-through rate.
Click-through rate.
Click-through rate.
Click-through rate.
Click-through rate is by far the most important metric you should be looking at.
Yeah, click-through rate, yeah, watch time. We've heard it a million times from all the big YouTubers. That's all that YouTube wants. They just want watch time and click-through rate. They don't want anything else. It's a statement that's misleading creators into thinking that their videos will blow up if they have these two simple metrics. And I know this is true because this is exactly what I thought when I got barely any views on the platform. If I can just get my click-through rate and audience retention up, then it'll be all smooth sailing. It's only partly true, and I can give you countless examples of why this theory is completely inaccurate and misleading under minimal scrutiny. Let's just dive straight into this by comparing two of my recent videos. The popular MMOs video and the kid behind the camera video. The popular MMOs video has a click-through rate of 5.5% and an audience retention of 34.8%, while the kid behind a camera video has a click-through rate of 8% and an audience retention of 44.4%. So with this in mind, surely the kid behind a camera video would have more views, right? Well, no, the popular MMOs video has 4.5 times the views. Now don't get me wrong, click-through rate and audience retention is extremely important. However, without the third component that we'll discuss today, click-through rate and audience retention is completely worthless. And this third piece of the component is never really discussed because, well, it's not sexy. It often requires a lot of research and critical thinking, and it can be extraordinarily demotivating because you'll often realize that every piece of content you've made in the past was a total waste of time because you didn't understand this third principle. But let me ask you a question. What path would you rather venture down? The unfulfilling path of ignorance where your content never gets any views but you don't have to come to terms with where you need to improve? Or the path where you put yourself through the pain of learning what you've done wrong with the intention of correcting yourself over time? But trust me, you don't get to choose no pain either. With that in mind, let's go right ahead and discuss what makes a video go viral. And if you're a creator, how you can get more views on your videos. We touched on the first two components of the equation in the beginning, but let's expand on them further. They are firstly watch time and audience retention, and secondly click-through rate. Let's first discuss watch time / audience retention. Watch time is extremely straightforward and simple to understand. It's just how long each individual watches a specific video averaged out over time. So say you have a 10-minute video, you get 5 people watching it, 3 people watch it for 7 minutes, and 2 people watch it for 2 minutes. That's a total of 25 minutes. There's 5 individuals, so you get an average of 5 minutes of watch time per view for that video. Then audience retention is simply expressed as a percentage of the average watch time comparative to the total video time. So 5 minutes average watch time on a 10-minute video is a 50% audience retention. Super basic stuff. So then let's discuss the difference between retention and just general watch time. And this is a grey area that seems to be argued about fairly regularly amongst different YouTubers as to which one is more important. But my interpretation is that they're two completely different metrics that indicate completely different things. Raw watch time is a metric that's clearly used to gauge how long a video will keep an individual on YouTube for, while retention is more a measure of the quality of the video. Say for example you post a 10-minute video and it gets an average watch time of 7 minutes. That's a 70% retention, indicating that it's a pretty decent video. Then say that video is put up against a 60-minute video with the same 7-minute average watch time, resulting in a 12% retention. That's going to indicate that it's a pretty poor video. Both videos provide YouTube with 7 minutes worth of watch time, but the video with a 70% retention is going to be promoted more, considering that YouTube is going to pick it up to be a better video. So then you might ask, what's more important, watch time or retention? Well, I think I can say pretty definitively that raw watch time is way more important to focus on than audience retention. Take for example my recent Fortnite downfall video, then compare it to one of my first Fortnite videos way back in the day. Similar click-through rate, similar topics, somewhat similar audience retention, but since the average view duration on the downfall was 12.5 minutes compared to 2.5 minutes, there was somewhat of a difference in the view count. Now, pretty much every single video you'll watch on YouTube about how to get more views will say, this is the most important thing, focus on this. They'll all just say, you need to get your watch time up, that's the most important thing. I'm going to be one of the first people to say, totally untrue. Watch time means nothing without the other two components that we're going to discuss in the rest of the video. However, the reasoning behind why content creators will tell you this is totally authentic. One thing that is for sure is that YouTube loves video length, and they love it when people stay on their platform. Having a high watch time and a good audience retention will do absolute wonders for your channel. There is absolutely no doubt about that. But if you're a content creator yourself, I want you to reprogram in your mind a little bit by telling yourself that this is not the most important metric. It's only important if you have these other two things we're going to discuss in place. Let's move on to click-through rate. Now, click-through rate is even more simple than watch time. It's basically how many times do people click on your videos comparative to how many times they're shown up around the YouTube website. So say, for example, your video is recommended on the homepage 100 times. Say that of those 100 times, people click on that video 10 times. 10 divided by 100 is 10%, so therefore that's a click-through rate of 10%. Now, a video with a, say, 1% click-through rate is not going to be recommended much, because the YouTube platform knows that it has to be recommended to 100 different people just to get one view. So just as a blanket rule, the higher the click-through rate, the better. Just like watch time, the higher you can get it, the better. And the beauty of click-through rate is that it is way easier to increase comparative to watch time. Mainly because it boils down to title, thumbnail, and the first few lines of the description. If you want to increase click-through rate, there's only a few small things that you have to work on, whereas if you want to increase watch time, you have to get a little bit more creative. But click-through rate is very closely linked to watch time. How? Because the higher the watch time, the lower the click-through rate can be before YouTube stops recommending the video. I'll give you two examples on my own channel, my Keemstar documentary and Fortnite downfall video. Both videos have a far lower click-through rate than average, being lower than 4%. However, both got decent views because the watch time was quite high at around 12 to 14 minutes per video. So the lower the click-through rate, the higher the average watch time needs to be for it to get recommended. But overall, as we examined at the start, the click-through rate and watch time often show no correlation with the view count. In order to get the full picture, we have to look at the third and final aspect: competition and genre placement. This element always seems to be brushed over or even ignored completely in pretty much every single video I've ever watched about how to grow on YouTube. However, understanding competition is equally as important, if not more important, than understanding watch time and click-through rate. However, it's much harder to understand and requires way more thinking to actually figure it out. I'll explain why. Say you post a video with an extremely high watch time and also extremely high click-through rate. The assumption, according to the just focus on watch time rule, says that it's going to be a popular video based on those two metrics alone. Absolutely wrong. If you don't examine or understand the competition, you won't even realize that your video is up against other videos with equally strong metrics. This kind of scenario happens in the gaming and commentary genre all the time. A creator will get, say, 50% audience retention on a Minecraft video, but fails to realize that since Minecraft is so popular, there's another 1,000 creators getting the same, if not better, watch time and click-through rate. On the contrary, if you're making videos in a genre where there's absolutely no competition, then your watch time and click-through rate barely even matters at all, because it doesn't matter. Like, there's no one who's going to be competing with you, so you could have an average 1 minute watch time and you would still get views because there's no one else making videos on that specific topic. Let's get a little bit more specific with this example. Let's think about the banning of Leafy a few weeks back. Hypothetically, imagine that there's only one creator who's making a video on the banning of Leafy, but at the same time you're going to have loads of people searching for information on the banning of Leafy. Well, that one guy making a video on the banning can pump out some garbage 2-minute video providing a brief of the situation, and since there's no competition, that video will get an extraordinarily high click-through rate and views despite having an extremely short watch time. An example of how watch time can be totally irrelevant if the genre or topic has no competition. But that's a perfect world scenario. Sadly, reality isn't really like that. You're always going to have competition, and if you don't have any competition, then you know what happens? You get more views because you have no competition, and then people come in to compete with you because they see that you're getting a lot of views on a topic that no one else is really covering. So what really happens when you search for the banning of Leafy? There's a list of about 10 videos all competing for the one topic. And how does YouTube determine which ones are put at the top? You guessed it, click-through rate and watch time. And what do you know? All the videos at the top are at least 8 minutes in length, with most up to 30 minutes long. So this is how you have to look at a specific video that you're gonna make. Your watch time and click-through rate is competing with the watch time and click-through rate of every single other person competing in that specific genre or topic. It's not your watch time and click-through rate competing with every single other person on YouTube, it's just in that specific topic. You have to identify your competition in that specific topic or genre. It's not all of YouTube. I'll go a little bit further with this and give you a personal example. Let's take my downfall of Fortnite video. Now the research for this one was fairly basic. I typed Fortnite into the search bar and I noticed that pretty much all of the competition for this topic was 8 to 12 minutes in length. Now most of these creators have excellent content and a loyal fan base, so I'd assume an average watch time of maybe 60 or 70%, meaning 5 to 7 minutes per video as an average. Now what I knew was that my other downfall videos had a retention of around 40 to 50%. So if I can make a 20-minute Fortnite downfall video with a 40% retention, that's an 8-minute average watch time, and my video will compete with those other big Fortnite YouTubers on the front page. But let's go a little bit further. What if I make it 30 minutes while keeping the same retention? It's going to have an average watch time of more than 10 minutes and will blow the other content out of the water. So that's what I did. I made a 28-minute video to compete with other Fortnite videos in that genre. Then when I posted it, it performed with an average of 13 minutes watch time per view, which was a longer average view duration than the entire video start to finish on the front page. And what do you know, it gets 1.2 million views, even with a click-through rate as low as 3%. And that's how easy it is if you specifically pick an area of competition and then go in and compete with those specific people in that genre with a better click-through rate and a better watch time. But you have to specify your area of competition to YouTube in the title and tags. This is something that I idiotically didn't do back when I first started YouTube. None of my titles had anything to do with the content. My tags were just memes, and wow, big surprise, none of these ever got any views. Don't pass up the opportunity to tell YouTube what your video is about. Put Fortnite or Minecraft or tech or leafy band. Otherwise, YouTube isn't gonna know who to recommend your video to. There might have been some god tier creator out there who made a great leafy band video with an insane click-through rate and an insane watch time. But if they never mentioned that it was about Leafy getting banned, then YouTube would have buried it, because YouTube doesn't know who to recommend your videos to unless you tell it what it's about. I mean, except this one by Vsauce, but honestly I don't really understand this magic, but it is Vsauce. He is a bit of a magician after all, so yeah. So let's do a little sum up here. You need all three aspects in order to make a video go viral. Firstly, you need a strong watch time. Secondly, you need a high click-through rate. And finally, you need both of these to compete in your specific genre of video and be higher than the other videos in that specific genre. The more competition in a genre, the higher your watch time and click-through rate has to be in order to compete. But that's an awesome double-edged sword, because the more competition that you have in a specific topic, the more interest there will be in that topic, meaning if you can beat that other competition with a high click-through rate and a high watch time, then the reward is better because you will end up getting more views. On the other end of the spectrum, the lower the competition, the less important that watch time and click-through rate really is. Say for example, you're making a video on the topic of how to construct a 30-degree angle. Because there's not that many people making videos on that topic, your watch time and click-through rate isn't going to be as important, because there won't be 20-minute videos to compete with like you would have if you were making videos on Minecraft. But just exactly like the previous example, the lower the competition, usually the lower the interest in that topic, meaning the overall reward is lower views. Now of course, those perfect topics are the ones with the highest interest and the lowest competition. But unfortunately, normally they're unicorns. There's always going to be someone to compete with. But when that competition does come up, make sure you're armed with a high click-through rate and a high watch time to combat it. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe. See you guys later. Peace.